The Florida spring break case that forced America to look away from comfort. By Nakedly Dressed. Most people think danger hides in dark alleys or isolated places. Few imagine a violent crime happening in the middle of a crowded beach packed with music, laughter, and hundreds of witnesses. But in 2015, a horrifying case in Panama City Beach, Florida, forced the country to confront exactly that reality. According to investigators, a young woman was sexually assaulted during spring break while surrounded by large groups of people. Even more disturbing, authorities later claimed many nearby appeared to ignore what was happening. The case exploded into national headlines after cell phone videos surfaced and police launched arrests connected to the incident. The story became more than just another criminal investigation. It became a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths about society, party culture, bystander behavior, and the painful experiences many survivors carry long after the cameras disappear. The case that horrified the nation. The Florida spring break case quickly became one of the most disturbing stories of the year. Authorities alleged that a 19-year-old woman was sexually assaulted on a crowded beach during spring break celebrations in Panama City Beach. According to investigators, the incident unfolded in public while large numbers of people were nearby. For many Americans, the details felt impossible to process. How could something so serious happen in front of a crowd without immediate intervention? That question fueled national outrage for weeks. What investigators alleged happened. According to law enforcement officials, the victim appeared incapacitated during the alleged assault. Authorities later stated she believed she may have been drugged and had little memory of the event. Investigators said the case only came to light after cell phone footage surfaced during another investigation. That discovery eventually led police to identify suspects and pursue criminal charges. The allegations shocked people because they suggested the assault allegedly occurred in plain sight while others continued partying nearby. Why the public reaction was so emotional. This case triggered strong emotions because it challenged basic assumptions about human behavior. Most people want to believe that crowds would help someone in danger. Instead, authorities described a situation where many nearby either failed to recognize the seriousness of the event or chose not to act. It was like watching someone drown while the beach continued celebrating around them. That image stayed with many people long after the news cycle moved on. The disturbing role of cell phone videos. Cell phone recordings became one of the most important parts of the investigation. Without digital evidence, investigators may never have uncovered the alleged assault. In modern criminal cases, videos, text messages, and social media content often become critical forms of evidence. At the same time, these recordings can create additional emotional pain for survivors. Imagine knowing one of the worst moments of your life exists on strangers' phones or computers. Technology can expose truth, but it can also deepen trauma. The survivors reported memory loss. One heartbreaking detail involved the victim's reported inability to fully remember what happened. Authorities stated she believed she may have been drugged and recalled only fragments of the incident. Trauma experts often explain that severe stress and intoxication can disrupt memory formation. Unfortunately, memory gaps sometimes cause people to unfairly question survivors instead of understanding how trauma affects the brain. This misunderstanding continues to shape public reactions in many sexual assault cases. The reality of trauma and shock. Trauma affects every survivor differently. Some people become emotional immediately after assault. Others appear numb, detached, or confused. Certain survivors remember every detail clearly, while others experience fragmented memories. The brain often reacts to extreme stress like a computer overloaded with too much information at once. Pieces remain, but the full picture may feel broken or incomplete. That reality makes sexual assault investigations emotionally and legally complex. Why crowds sometimes fail to intervene. Psychologists frequently discuss something known as the bystander effect. This occurs when individuals are less likely to step into emergencies when many other people are present. Each person assumes someone else will act. Crowded party environments can make this even worse. Loud music, alcohol, peer pressure, and confusion may cause people to ignore warning signs they would normally recognize. Cases like this reveal how dangerous public silence can become. The debate around consent. The Florida case reignited national discussions about consent. A person who is unconscious or severely impaired cannot legally consent. Yet public conversations often become clouded by victim blaming or assumptions tied to party culture. Some people focus on alcohol or environment rather than the central issue of personal responsibility. This case forced many Americans to confront uncomfortable questions about how society understands consent and accountability. Social media and public outrage. Social media transformed the case into a nationwide conversation almost overnight. People expressed anger, sadness, disbelief, and frustration online. Many questioned how modern culture sometimes encourages recording dangerous situations instead of stopping them. The internet amplified public awareness, but it also exposed survivors to intense public discussion and scrutiny. That combination can be emotionally overwhelming for victims already dealing with trauma. The emotional damage survivors carry. Sexual assault leaves scars that are often invisible to outsiders. Some survivors develop anxiety, depression, panic attacks, or post-traumatic stress. Others struggle with trust, relationships, or feelings of safety in public places. A location once associated with fun can suddenly feel terrifying forever. For many survivors, healing becomes a slow process filled with emotional setbacks and painful memories. The legal challenges in sexual assault cases. Sexual assault cases are legally difficult for several reasons. Prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Defense attorneys challenge evidence, witness statements, timelines, and credibility. Public opinions often shift rapidly depending on media coverage. Even when strong evidence exists, survivors frequently describe the legal process as emotionally exhausting. Justice systems are designed around proof and procedure, while trauma exists in a deeply emotional world. How this case changed public conversations. The Florida case became part of a larger national discussion about sexual violence and social responsibility. Schools, universities, and advocacy groups increasingly began discussing bystander intervention, consent education, and safer reporting systems after highly publicized cases like this one. Many people realize that prevention requires more than punishment after crimes occur. It requires cultural change. The importance of bystander awareness. Experts continue encouraging bystander intervention education because small actions can prevent dangerous situations. Checking on someone who appears vulnerable, calling for help, or interrupting suspicious behavior may save lives. People often underestimate how powerful simple awareness can be. Silence may feel passive, but in some situations silence becomes part of the harm itself. What society still needs to learn. Cases like this reveal that society still struggles with how it responds to sexual violence. Survivors are often judged for where they were, what they wore, or whether alcohol was involved. Meanwhile, public conversations sometimes lose focus on accountability and safety. Real progress requires empathy, education, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths instead of avoiding them. The Florida spring break assault case shocked the nation because it exposed more than an alleged crime. It exposed fear, silence, indifference, and the complicated reality survivors often face after trauma. Years later, the case still raises painful questions. Why do crowds sometimes fail to act? Why do survivors often feel isolated after reporting assault? And how can communities better protect vulnerable people in dangerous situations? Those questions continue to matter because behind every headline is a real person trying to rebuild a life after unimaginable pain.